who's going to introduce us to Mega Man X4. This is the 100% category. Take it away, Tempest.
Thank you so much. Hello, friends and fellow gamers. I am very, very glad to be back for you all for Game Over Cancer yet again. It's going to be a wonderful time, hopefully. Yeah, not to keep us waiting for too long, quick introduction to the game, though. This is X4, the first of the PlayStation trilogy titles. Probably the best one, in my opinion, anyway, and a very, very good speed run to do with that. We're going to be running on X 100%, which means I'm going to be playing as the blue, our everyone's favorite Reploid progenitor himself. Progenitor, I guess is the word. I'm just going to quickly set up my controls right here, because I do run the game just a little differently than most do, but nothing else to it. And yeah, the category as per 100%, I just need to collect everything, and then we're basically good to go. So yeah, time will begin once I have selected X, and not much else to it, so I'm going to try and get this as close to the proper frame on the character select as possible, because you actually lose a little bit of time depending on when you select X. So, 3, 2, 1, go. There we have it. Alright. So, general gists of how the game works. So, this works fairly differently from the Super Nintendo trilogy. Come to think of it, we just had X3 before us, so allow me to explain a little bit of the general differences on some of the controls. So the dash has been nerfed and buffed a bit. Particularly, I can now hold the dash button and do these dash jumps without having to start from a dash, which is really convenient because the nerf is that the dash now has a bit of a startup time. It's just a few frames, but if you keep doing ground dashes, the time loss will eventually add up, and yeah, that's no good. So yeah, we're just gonna get through this intro stage right here. This is the Sky Lagoon, and that's Magma Dragoon. We will actually be seeing him pretty shortly after our intro level is donezo. But now we are moving into Area 2. This game is something of a sibling title to that of Mega Man 8, and the two share a few differences, such as stages being divided into multiple areas, and are generally forgiving for that as well. So you will see that if I happen to get a game over, which hopefully I won't, I can restart right at the beginning of the area that I started from, as compared to restarting the entire level from scratch, which is definitely one of a casual gamer's godsends for sure. And then, yeah, we're moving into the intro boss. This is actually my personal favorite of the intro bosses of the X franchise, Iridian, who also has a bangin' boss fight theme. I'm going to try and hit him with a single charge shot, but then we're going to attempt to rail him down with a bunch of half shots. Ooh, that's bad luck. I actually got this with my practice sesh as well, so it's a bit unfortunate that he had to start flying right away here as well. Hopefully he won't do it again, because as you saw, it makes him very hard to reach. He's probably going to do it. No, he's not going to do it one time. Okay, good. We are actually looking pretty smooth to start things off. I appreciate that, Marathon Luck. Thank you. Alright, so this is the Colonel, and the main enemy force we're going to be taking on is that of the Repl Force, a Reploid army who is being framed by a whole situation that is conjured up by Sigma. Yeah, unfortunately, we have to rip off the band-aid right away that, yes, Sigma was once again behind this. The game doesn't even really hide it if you play as X. The anime cutscenes that were included within this game, wonderfully animated by the no longer Funked Studio Jebek, that just makes it pretty obvious. So yeah, not much we can really do in terms of spoilers there. So yeah, I said earlier that we met Magma Dragoon, and now we're going to fight him, because it turns out he is the one who caused the Sky Lagoon to collapse, and caused that unfortunate massacre we saw at the very beginning. So now we're going to make him pay, because he's also betrayed the irregular hunters. It's actually the Maverick Hunters, they just never locally changed it, because there really is no other localization differences within that intro card text for any of the other Mavericks to be found here. But yeah, so X 100% usually starts with Dragoon, and for very good reason. Unfortunately, we cannot avoid any revisits, but by going Dragoon's way, we do only have to do a singular revisit, and that's because in order to get the body armor for the 4th armor, we have to have a Buster upgrade and Slash Beast's weapon Twin Slasher. In doing this, we can then bust down those blocks, and thus the routing does eventually accommodate for that, but if you were to play an any percent, then yeah, the routing would be a bit different. We'd start off with Web Spider. So yeah, there's something interesting about this game, though, in that any percent is the category I started learning when I first picked up X4. But between that and 100%, they're actually not all that different in the fastest time. In fact, I do believe currently the world record for 100% is faster, which is held by Dante SCWeeb1. And yeah. We're going to the Dragoon fight. We're going to employ a similar strategy to what we did against Iridian, where I'm going to be hitting him with half charges. Dragoon's fight is actually not the worst. It can be dangerous if you get too much damage from him. But aside from that, you know, the half charge shots are actually effective on him because he has the lowest amount of hit frames from getting hit. And I apologize, by the way, if anybody can hear my phone ringing in the background. I knew I should have hid that darn thing away before we got started with the run, but hey, what can you do? That's Dragoon. I took a little bit safe there because you can use the ride armor in the boss fight. It is a bit slower, but you know, it's better than dying in my opinion. So yeah, this boss also has some post-fight dialogue, and one big difference with this game and the previous X titles is that you cannot hold start to scroll through text super fast. You have to mash through it. So we've beaten Dragoon, we've got the Rising Fire, and not only is it necessary to get everything from Web Spider in one go, it's also a very, very handy weapon, and also a fan favorite as well, that it's even got a few of its own unique stuff. Like, for anyone who's played Mega Man X Dive, the mobile game, which now has an offline version that is available for you to buy on iOS or Steam, there's a singular unit of X specifically in Rising Fire, and there's even an action figure or a model kit figure of X in that weapon as well, so I imagine Dragoon is considered a fan favorite, and for good reason. He is easily a nod from Capcom to Street Fighter, particularly Akuma, because you hear him say Hadouken and Shoryuken for his own moves, so yeah, he's legit a Street Fighter character at that. It's pretty funny. But it's also not the first time it's gotten referenced in an X game, as we would know. Still wish that X3 had a Tatsumaki Senpikaku, but what can you do? I'm gonna get that health because I just figure why not, just in case, but if you haven't noticed, X's health will completely refill when I move on to Area 2. I just figured take a little bit of safety there, even if it does waste a bit of time, because the game does give you those health drop bots whenever it thinks that you might need the boost, and that is unfortunate. So, the armor boots. I can now do the air dash, similar to X3 and X2. There is a big difference, however, being that I can only do so when I'm not in a jump momentum. So I have to, like, not hold the dash button and then press the dash button or double tap while in midair. You can also hover with it, but it is pretty slow that way. There is a purpose for it that we'll be seeing come the final Sigma fight. That is a strat that is definitely a 100% thing. But in any percent, we do skip collecting the armor capsule. One, because we don't really need it for any percent, and two, well, again, it just removes the potential nuisance of having to slow yourself down by sheer accident. So here we go. Get the heart. So we got our life up, and now we're gonna push forward. Also use Rising Upper to clear that log out. And cut through right here, because it's also just faster to do this way as well. So Web Spider, the boss fight coming up, is going to be one of the jerkiest ones. And I can imagine part of it being that this boss does take a bit of a cue from Boss Spider in X1, where in the second half of the fight he can drop some minions, but that's neither here nor there for now. He likes to shoot webs that you can get stuck in, and you have to wriggle yourself out of it if you do get caught, so that'll be absolute time loss without any question. I'm going to be very careful of that. Aside from that, you can hit him before he drops down from above, and we actually will be trying to perform a really nifty trick that takes advantage of such in the refights. But for now, I'm just gonna give myself a little bit of serious time. Actually, pretty decent amount of health that I've taken out of him going into the animation here. Because this animation, you cannot hit him while he's until he's started moving again, and where he starts moving is usually his choice, meaning that the first charge shot I fire since then can easily misfire. Like that. Because he also just decided to stop himself. Spider, could you please? Thank you. Actually, I will admit, you could use the hover to position yourself accordingly. I could have done that, and I just didn't. But hey, we got him. And yeah, that cannon right there is the secret weapon that the intro card said he was trying to defend. Something like that. Now, another trick I'm using to optimize my time is I'm trying to press a button to immediately jump to you got lightning web, but it makes it so the game will not have the announcer voice say it. So that does save a little bit of time. Storm Owl's stage, the stage itself is perfectly fine. In fact, it's actually a really good stage in my opinion, probably one of my favorites of the Mavericks, but it's the boss that I am considerably worried about, and you will see for yourself. For now, we are going to pick up the new type of ride armor this game presents called the Flight Armor. At least I think that's the name I'm using for it anyway. And it has a pretty nifty spread shot that acts as its charge variant. The problem is, if the game catches you charging it while on the ground, whoa, goodness gracious. It forces you to stay still. That would have been pretty bad if I died there, because there's no checkpoint until, like, the second area, so that would have been very disastrous. And aside from that, we can quickly talk about why I'm running the English version as compared to the Japanese version like most would. It's because the localization of this game does have English voice acting, but the Mavericks have completely been removed of their intro fight dialogue. So the only ones that will do so in the game are Colonel, General, Sigma, Iris, and Double, and therefore it removes some of the potential RNG that the Japanese voices would otherwise be saying in Rockman X4. And by RNG, I mean which line they decide to choose and how many seconds you're losing for it. So this is one of the rare instances of the US version being actually faster and much more preferred by us runners. So we're going into the mid-boss. This is a mounted laser cannon thingamajig. And yeah, I'm just gonna... Well, it's not a cannon, rather. The drones are firing the stuff. This thing is just trying to show off. And so we're just going to hit it when its eye opens. Using the charge shots and the lightning web is a very effective combo, as you saw right there. And what you saw me pick up for the arm part is the stock buster, because X4 actually has two different busters you can use. Some of you may be familiar with the plasma shot, but we use the stock buster because the plasma shot leaves a residual damage whenever the charge shot hits something. Compare that to the stock buster, where we can just fire several buster shots at charge variants. And yeah, it's no contest. This is definitely preferred. If you are fond of the idea of playing the game with X's ultimate armor as a speedrun, though, we do have a category for that, except the trade-off being you have to use that plasma buster, because yeah, ultimate armor sees what ultimate armor does, no exceptions. And Storm Owl right here, his invincibility frames are defined by the wind shield that he uses. We can actually do what's called a shield break to shoot at a certain interval when the shield is down, but getting the timing can be very hard. And yeah, as you can see right there, there's grab. Oh, I was not expecting to die from that. I thought I was going to survive that. Oh, jeez. Yeah, now you can see why Owl is a big jerk, and I really do not care for him at all. But hey, no big deal if you die to him. It is what it is. We'll try that again. And then some. So yeah, we're going to just go for that. I honestly don't mind if I end up not getting a PB today, because I actually did manage to get a small one going while practicing for Game Over Cancer, so I'm very content with that. That said, it would be pretty cool if I do. I'm actually am opting to keep my life splits closed, just to surprise myself for today. So yeah, we're gonna make it a nice surprise. But yeah, there are a few attacks that Owl can start to use once he's below half health, like that one right there. It can be some nasty stuff, real heavy hitters. You also notice that when I'm trying to fish out for him, trying to find out where he ends up, it's because he can either spawn from top or bottom, and it is easily figure it out by shooting an off-screen shot like that. And we managed to get him that time. I would have preferred a little bit being at the top platform, because X teleporting out of there is just a teensy bit faster, but that was still a decent recovery, all things considered. And we got the double Cyclone weapon. You're going to be seeing that within our second late game stage, because that will be a effective weakness for that. It'll also be good to use against Dragoon, because that is his weakness. But again, the reason why we go for him first is because we end up trying to fish for the Rising Fire, and then we want to use that on Web Spider stage. And then use the Lightning Web to get up to the Buster upgrade, so on and so forth. It all makes sense in the long run of things. Yeah, we're gonna now use the Rising Fire again, because wouldn't you know it, it's actually effective against a Maverick with an ice theme going for it, but it also is needed to get that life up right there. I'm just gonna let the platform spawn right there, because I just figure that's normally how I do things and stuff. Yeah, not too much else going for time being, but we're gonna collect the EX tank, which is right up top there, and hopefully we won't have to see it being put to use, but it is a very persistent upgrade. It is introduced here in X4, it still gets used even in X7. All it really does is it changes your starting lives from 3 to 5, or 4 as the number gauge usually displays it, but as you know, Mega Man games usually give you 0 lives as your final life, so yeah. This is everyone's favorite mini-boss here. It is the... I actually don't know the name of this one, but oh, that's actually a good RNG right there, so I'm going to try that one more time. No, okay, never mind. But yeah, we actually got the good RNG to boot, so that was actually a very, very lucky cycle right there. I'm very appreciative of that, because the moment you hit that boss, it reacts very differently, and during that particular charging attack, when it winds up, is when it remains vulnerable to more shots, so we really want to hope for that, and that's exactly what I got. Cool. But yeah, this is Area 2, I can English, I swear. Frost Walrus's stage is the unique level of the game that has its own Area 2 theme, so enjoy that while we can. You also saw in Area 1 that there was a frozen blizzard buffalo, who we saw in the previous run for done by Owlie, of course. And then Chill Penguin in the mini-boss room, so a nice nod to the Ice Mavericks before. Too bad we never really got one in X2, but hey, what can you do? I feel like they could have thrown in a little Crystal Snail reference there, but, he's not quite ice, so I can see why they didn't. I do want to give a very quick shout out to a fellow runner friend of this game, Chair G Tables, as I shout out to Frost Walrus. He's not just a big dude, but he's got a big heart as well. So we're gonna rail him with a few stock shots, and then we're gonna just hit him with fire. And this is a pretty easy boss fight, but afterward we're gonna be facing Colonel for the first time. So I think this is actually a really good time for any announcements, if you'd like to go for it, Leo, so...
Yeah, of course. We haven't received any new donations during this run yet, but remember, !D in the chat, and it'll give you a direct link to where it goes. We have a few incentives as well if you want to put any donations towards those incentives. We have the Mega Man 4 versus 5 bid war, the Majuyu King of Demons category bid war, and of course, Save the Animals versus Kill the Animals for Super Metroid's map randomizer.
Save the animals all the way.
Yeah, and of course, all of this is going to the Canadian Cancer Society, Game Over Cancer. We've been supporting them since the start, so yeah, make sure to get those donations in and kick cancer's butt.
Thank you very much. Alright, so now we're moving into the Colonel fight. This is a very X-exclusive thing, because Zero does not get to fight him twice, just once, as instead he gets an anime cutscene, so a very unfair advantage, but one of the things that makes the Zero categories faster than X is shame, really, because I very much prefer X all the way, but one of these days I actually will intend to learn Zero's categories, just to say I managed to do it, and also I do think his saber combat is hella fun, so we love to see it there. And Colonel's fight, so it's pretty simple. As you see right here, I'm trying to make use of certain moments when his iframes actually reset themselves. You can also take advantage of this gap right here to, you know, have him just avoid the shockwaves from hitting you, and you can also hit him with the charge variant of Frost Tower. Walrus is his weakness. In any percent, a big difference is that I wouldn't be going to Walrus, but rather I'd be doing Dragoon, Owl, and Beast, because at that point I actually want to get the Nova Strike. I do get the body armor in the any percent run, which means that we do have access to the Nova Strike for the Colonel fight, which also does a gnarly amount of damage to him as well by using those the reset period for his iframes. Something I'll try to also pull off when we refight him in Spaceport. But for now, this is Jet Stingray's level, or F-Zero Stingray as I like to call him, because we have a Ride Chaser. It's an auto-scroller. I can try to speed things up a little bit, but of course, you know, it's also a bit dangerous because you have to memorize where the gaps are, and you see me using the dash attack with the Ride Chaser in midair, because that is what forces the screen to scroll a little bit faster, but you're also locked into it. You can move your vertical positioning up and down just a bit like you saw me do right there, but it's also minuscule enough that if you make a single mistake, the auto-scroller can force you into a crushed position, and yeah, we never like that, so... Welcome to Area 2. You see Jet Stingray right there. We can actually take him out to avoid having him send his little Stingray drones at us, and yep, that's a very good example right there of me getting hecked over by the stage. Yeah, that's a shame, but you know what? It's not the worst to get killed right there, because that's the earliest opportunity for that to happen to me, and I can never be too mad at that. But we'll try to take it just a bit slower from here. I'm going to actually give myself just a bit more serious time to avoid that a second time around. But just give me a moment right here, because we're also going to be collecting our second and the last of the sub-tanks. By doing that. And yeah, there we go. So I perfectly timed that positioning in order to safely tear through the boxes and get the sub-tank. It usually works 9 times out of 10. There have been some occasions where even using that little trick that I do, just to guarantee it, can screw up, but you know, as long as you get the sub-tank, that's all that really matters to it, because we do need that for 100%. It makes sense, doesn't it? Now, Jet Stingray, he loves to be everybody's favorite hype man and goes yeah after an attack, or can choose to do so immediately. You saw that happen at the start of the fight, and that's pure RNG, of course, but gonna probably try and do his vacuum attack. I can actually stand right behind him and avoid having to deal with that as a nuisance, but he will take a little bit longer to come back down after the fact, so. And hopefully he does not do his other move, which he didn't, thank goodness. The reason I'm using the Buster over his weakness, which is Frost Tower, is his iframes. He is completely invincible after he gets frozen and until he breaks out and then floats back down. We can't hit him until then, so it's the same situation as to why you don't really see X1 speedrunners use Fire Wave on Chill Penguin. It's that same principle right there. Okay, so we have gotten through Stingray, and now we have the weakness to our next Maverick / Beast. And so we're gonna go on to the military train, and hey folks, if you've come to know me for a long enough time, you may know a very, very interesting secret about me, and that's I like trains. Shout out, if you know, you know, to ASDF movie. Thank you, Tom Scott.
I had my mic muted, but I made the noise when you said that.
Thank you, I appreciate that, actually. Oh, we got an extra life. Nice. That's pretty cool. Wouldn't have been a huge deal if I did game over, but, you know, it throws in a little bit of safety there, so now we can rest assured that there will be a checkpoint to be had if I do fall off. Oh, come on. Game, please. I hate it. I'm getting juggled. I hate it. Yeah, those Repel Force troopers can be a bad time if they so much as pot shot you at the worst angle. So we're moving to the mini boss, and this is where I'm going to try and defeat this guy fast enough, because there is a certain cycle where the level transition will be much quicker, and then there's a certain period of the level where it's much slower. I think we're going to get the slow one by proxy. Ooh! Very happy that I picked up that extra life now, because that would have been all the way back to start if I didn't. Yeah, that is tragic right there. A little embarrassing, but what can you do? Alright, trying that again. I am using the Charged Rising Fire to take out as much damage on that thing. You can also use Lightning Web to do so. Or even the Charge Shots, whatever floats your boat. Alright, moving to Area 2. We're going to see the Ride Armor again. The basic variant, but I'm going to try and avoid it because, one, it is good for safety, but it's generally slower as compared to just trying to hoof it with hoof it on foot. And yeah, there's also another good reason for it too, though, and it would be one reason why I would give this game a flashing warning otherwise, but because I am avoiding it for this for all intents and purposes. If you hit the train car with the Ride Armor slash, it will cause it to explode, and it causes the screen to perpetually flash red. It is not the best feeling on the eyes. I'm being perfectly frank about that. So yeah, we don't have to worry about that today, thank goodness. Yeah. And, yeah, there's, I guess a few more things to mention about X4. For instance, this game was also released on the Sega Saturn, so, like with X3, you can play it on that as well. The leaderboard does not separate by platform, so therefore, if you want to run X4 Vanilla, you can do so on the Saturn version and still post it to that same leaderboard. We do separate based on what version you are running, like, between the original PS1 release, the X Collection, and the X Legacy Collection, the third of which is what I am actually giving the game to you by today. And, yeah. So, Slash Beast. He ran in like Sonic the Hedgehog, but now he's tripping like Spark Mandrill, because Ground Hunter does do that, and a nice little nod to the weakness as well. He does lose his toe claws. We do break those the first time we hit him with Ground Hunter. So now, whenever he tries to do the flip kick twin slasher, he can only do a single slash wave. And this is the part where we're going to do our revisit, because now we have twin slasher, so now we can get the body armor. And with that will also come the Nova Strike, which is a very handy trick for certain maneuverability, one that will be used in a awesome skip that is exclusive to X for Split Mushroom, who we will be going to right after this. For now, though, I am just going back through Magma Dragoon's stage to pick up the life up that is within Area 2, as well as the body capsule armor, so if we have any announcements to make, Leo, go right ahead, and I'll let you know when we're good to stop.
We don't have any more donations coming in just at the moment, but hey, folks, I'd like to make a few more announcements there, so come on, get to donating there. Everything goes to the Canadian Cancer Society, and if you donate at least $5, you will be entered in for a draw to win one of our Steam keys for either Street Fighter 6, Resident Evil 4, the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, or Monster Hunter Wilds. So, hey, support a good cause and maybe even get a free game while you're at it.
Awesome. Yeah, it's absolutely worth it, because I will say, as somebody who has won at least... I'm pretty sure I've at least won... Listen to me stutter. Apologies for that, folks. English is hard sometimes. I'm pretty sure at least one time I've won a raffle thing, but yeah, no. Just having an entry at $5 is... like, you can't go wrong with that, and it's a good contribution to a wonderful cause. I mean, you know how it is, folks. Definitely chip in whatever you feel you can. No pressure, of course. But, well, we're moving into Split Mushroom. And this stage is one that I think most people think of for being the most vertical that X4 has to offer. But we start off with this cool effect that involves going up a staircase and is something that we also do see in X5 afterward with, I believe it's Izzy Glow's Shining Firefly stage. So, you know, couldn't help themselves to doing that sort of thing again, Capcom did. And aside from that, I mean, like, yeah. I will say, shout out to X5, it is a pretty cool run. Something that I've not started doing yet, but you can't really see my cam feed. I am wearing a special shirt that was being given out during last year's SGDQ, and major kudos to my pal Starwin for running X5 during that, and it is a wonderful shirt of Zero in a certain state of power, if you will. I won't say the full details because I don't want to spoil for anyone who has yet to play X5, but like, yeah, no, it is a wonderfully made shirt, and I do believe it's one of the merch pieces that you may still be able to get your hands on because it is considered a part of the official Mega Man collection for the Yeti, so I think it is one of those shirts that did not go out of circulation. Don't take my word for it, but still. With that in mind, we are now going up to the staircase. You saw me use the Nova Strike and the Charged Rising Fire to skip over a cam lock trigger for that mini-boss, which means I get to completely ignore the fight, and Zero does not have that whatsoever. The Nova Strike is your replacement for the Giga Crash in this game, and it's a very short tackle attack, but it also does some of the most damage that X can deal to any enemy. And it does charge up by damage taken, but it also charges up its energy when you pick up weapon energy as well, which is one of the benefits of the sub-tanks in the PS1 trilogy, because in that case, unlike the Super Nintendo X games, you don't have to be at full health to pick up energy for the tank. It'll just go there no problem. It subsequently did nerf the full HP recovery in that way, though, that, you know, in some games where you can pick up the full HP recovery, and if it goes to the sub-tank, it's a full sub-tank, like, stat. In this case, that's not what happens, and I was completely busy talking that I forgot to get started with the camera trick. Oh well. No point in worrying about it, but yeah. If I had done the Rising Fire before the elevator got to the top, I could have snuck my way into Split Mushroom's boss field, and it's not a huge time saver, but it does allow me to immediately start damaging him with Lightning Web. It's the funny thing. The funny things in life that we appreciate. Time to get serious. Anybody that has played X4 and Mega Man 8 would know that Mega Man and Mega Man X share a voice between the games, because both of the English dub casts, they did both games in an entire session. They were just brought in to record for 2 different projects at once, I believe. Something like that. And it's still baffling and mind-blowing to hear, but I'm grateful that Ruth Shiraishi, the one who does voice X in this game, told us about that in an interview at one. It's sometime this decade, I believe it was. So it's yeah, there's Split Mushroom down, and then we move into Cyber Peacock, which will be a final Maverick. This level is basically a nod to the whole idea of time attacking, because we'll be going through a cyberspace course that the game will rank us based on how fast we go through it, like so. And you're gonna see me use Soul Body to try to wipe out those. I like to call those devil orbs because they kind of look like Yellow Devil stuff, but they're not really that, and yet they are nuisances because they will trap you if you get caught in that, and I did not want to avoid that life up because that's the last one I needed to get, dang it. Alright, moving through that, and yeah, we want to get the S rank because in all 3 of the Area 1 sections, you will get a reward for each S rank you do. So we got that, we got our other sub-tank for HP, This game also did introduce the weapon sub-tank, by the way, for those wondering. So yeah, a sub-tank that collects weapon energy and can refill it, and will also chip into refilling your Nova Strike whenever you do that. So yeah, very, very handy items to be collected here in X4. Capcom did a wonderful job doing those. It's funny though, because the third and final reward we get for the third S rank is the head parts for X. In Zero's case, he will not get that. I think he just gets an extra life. It's also funny too because the world record held by Dante for any X4 and X any percent is he does a little trick that lets you skip the capsule entirely and even avoids you having to activate the Dr. Light speech. So, a little time optimization there, but it's also a slight catch-22, because completely ignoring that also removes the best part of the fourth armor in that head part, which is it gives you unlimited weapon energy, as long as you're not using a charged variant. It is absolutely busted, but gloriously so, and I very much dig the fourth armor for it. So now that we've gotten through that ball puzzle, I also shout out to the infamous Dante button. If you know incident, you know you know. We'll go into Peacock, and I'm going to try and damage him enough times with Soul Body, but there will be a certain circumstance where I'll want to use the Stock Buster to hit him. That's when he starts floating in the air and tries to fire homing feather shots on you, which he will likely not do to start the battle off. That's usually something he starts to do after a while. Let's go ahead and take care of things accordingly. And as you're seeing, I'm using the Soul Body, and the weapon gauge is not going down a single bit. Also, I totally botched that right there. I just hit him with the Soul Body anyway, but there we go. And then one Nova should take him out, and that's all the 8 Mavs. You notice that Peacock is one of 3 Mavericks who has a different icon at his health bar. The rest of them are Repliforce, but him and Split Mushroom and Magma Dragoon, those are the Sigma Maverick icon. That's the Sigma Maverick icon. So, nice little detail thrown in by Capcom for sure. The Region also has a unique one going for him as well. Although it's kind of funny, because I always thought that Eregion is just an out-of-control Repliforce mechanoid that we're supposed to stop, and is what contributes to the whole incident of pinning the blame on the Repliforce. But I actually don't believe so. I think it's just completely rogue. So yeah. Fancy that. So we are now in the late game stages. This is the spaceport. This is what most people usually contribute as like one of the shortest late game stages to be had, but one that also is pretty appreciated. It features a good platforming challenge, so as long as you know how to platform good, it goes butter smooth, and we love to see it. And this is where we'll be having our second and final fight against the Colonel. Now, I have the Nova Strike, and a big difference between this fighting arena and the Memorial Hall is that this has physical walls, while the Memorial Hall does not. And the Nova Strike won't be interrupted by the invisible walls, but will be by the solid walls. So that is why any percent tries to go for having the Nova Strike early as we do. Colonel also has a couple of new moves to his repertoire. Oh, that's... I have not seen him do that before just because I was wall jumping. I'll just hit him with the Nova and just get that over with. It's no big deal, really. But yeah, I love seeing Colonel have his health shredded whenever you pull off that trick just right. And we also got to see his ground slash move, which that doesn't usually happen, so... Yeah, all you English dub enjoyers for this game got a little treat there. I will say it is a big shame that, all things considered, I won't be able to show the legendary cutscene. 1, because that's a Zero thing. 2, because I don't want to keep us waiting for that long, because I know we're a little bit behind on the schedule. But, you know, this game is very famous for said cutscene. Something which I guess you could say Capcom tends to do every good once in a while. just like how it was in Devil May Cry. So we're going to now start to use the Double Cyclone, and this is a boss that is completely different as to whether you're doing the X or Zero campaign. So Double, in this case, is weak to Double Cyclone. In Zero's case, we'd be fighting Iris. But Double...
I'm so anxious to rip you apart!
Okay, so he decided to use that line. Right. Double, whenever you hit him with the Cyclone, will spawn those droids, but that's perfectly fine because we can take a little bit of damage from those, which is much less than what body-checking Double himself will give us. So I just try to do that and hit him with as many Double Cyclones as I possibly can. Hey, I got to Nova him. Nice. Good stuff. Cool. But we're not quite done just yet with the stage. We do have an area 2 of sorts, which is funny because I feel as though this stage is 2 in 1, and yet we never go back to the stage select. So whether you count this as a part of the previous section or not, you know, whether you count this as a singular stage and therefore 3 late game stages as compared to 4, that's up to you. But I will say, if you do count the Double section as its own level, then yeah, by far the shortest late game level in any X game, bar none. Just like very fast.
I'm just coming in to let you know we do have a donation.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so this one's coming to us from Haxum,
Hey.
who gives us $5 USD. They're now entered in the raffle for one of those 4 Steam keys. And
hang
they
on a
simply
second.
have the
My fate
message.
is sealed.
I have
Yes?
no choice. Okay, we're good. Proceed.
All right. Haxum simply has the message of, "Hi, Steve."
Hey, buddy. How's it going? Thanks for the dono. Appreciate it. Very good friend of mine from the Spark the Electric Jester community. Alright, here we go. I will say that line from General is the longest one, because it wastes a bit of time for him to say, but everyone loves it, myself included. And yeah, he's weak to Twin Slasher. Yeah, I'd say we got a bit of a blessed voice acting RNG going on here. But, you know, aside from that, I mean, if it were a truly blessed RNG, we'd have Colonel say, "I'll show you no mercy. Now get ready." Or something like that. I love voice acting, and I hope you all do too. Shout out to voice actors, for real. And with that, we are now moving into our final stage of the game. This is the Maverick Refights. I'm gonna try to have a hopefully full enough tank for what's to come, but for now, we're gonna try and start off with Web Spider. There's gonna be serious time all the way through. I'm going to attempt a trick that will wipe out his health as soon as possible, but it is not easy to pull off, but it makes use of that period where you can hit him before he swoops down. So here we go. Oh, I failed. That would actually would have been bad. I totally forgot I could have soft blocked the game if I hit him with that way too early. Oh no, that would have been bad. Luckily I do have a safety save in case that were to pass, so you know. Always have your safety saves, folks. Oh, he did not fire the web that time. Appreciate that. Oh, that... Okay, you know what? Yeah, we're not getting the trick now. That is on Fortnite. But, damn. That's a shame. I blew my Nova Strike way too soon there. If I got that, I could have hit him really hard to the point that his health would have drained so fast, and then I would have tried to cut him down off the web like you saw early in the fight, which, if I got it just right too, you would have seen the health bar glitch out way past the sprite for the health bar itself. It would have been the funniest thing ever, but like I said, it's not the easiest trick to pull off, and you know what? I think we still got a pretty decent spider fight, all things considered, so we're just going to move on with that like nobody's business. And now we're going to go back to Magma Dragoon, so that I can once again fill up my Nova Strike and pull off the same trick that I did before, but now with the Double Cyclone. So we're going to charge up our stock shots like so. Do be mindful that, like with Mega Man 8, you do have 2 Buster buttons. One for the special weapon and one for the Buster itself. but the stock shot will remove all of its charged up shots if you do use your special weapon first. So be mindful when running this game with that piece of knowledge for you right there. And that's Dragoon, yeah. So now we're going to pull off a much easier shield break, or attempt to anyway, on Storm Owl. And this will use his weakness as well, the aiming laser. And I will let the trick do the explaining, because that'll be worth just trying to lock in on that one. Alright, here we go. It's funny because the aiming laser reticle, you can move up and down even while you can't move left or right. Okay. Oh, that's... Forgot my dash button for a second. Okay, we're gonna give him a chance here. We're just gonna give him a slight chance. I wanna get this just right. Alright, that was pretty good. It wasn't a complete wipeout, but, you know, I'll take that, I'll take that. But yeah, that's Owl down, and we are now on the top platform, so much faster loadout into our next Maverick we go. It'll be... I wanted to have the right weapon selected. Frost Walrus again. And as I did before, shoutouts to Frost Walrus. Alright, here we have it. Big Eyes walking in. Earlier I did mention that X4 has some localization differences, especially with the voice acting. And Cyber Peacock is the one Maverick who does not have any voice lines whatsoever in X4. Mega Man X4, that is. But if you play Rockman X4, you'll notice he is the one time in the Japanese cast where two Mavericks share the same Seiyu. It's between him and Web Spider, and it is the funniest thing ever because there is barely any difference that you hear between the two of them. So yeah. Alright, back to Slash Beast we go. Second verse, same as the first. Round Hunter 2, Electric Boogaloo. I'm gonna start trying to actually use the charged variants now, of course. Which you can also have some, like, those up and down projectiles going right there. If you press up or down as it's being shot out, so... Cool stuff. And then we jam on into Split Mushroom. Once again, I'm going to be doing the same little rinse and repeat cycling of the Lightning Web. So here we go with that. Another little voice acting fun fact. Split Mushroom is voiced by the woman who voices Dapu from the Super Sentai Car Ranger series, which was the base material for Power Rangers Turbo. So that was the first time I actually heard that voice outside of Split Mushroom, and I affectionately named my Split Car Ranger Dapu Mushroom in honor of that, which is interesting too because that voice actress, I'm pretty sure, is still alive and could still probably be doing voice acting, but has not been credited for anything after a certain point in time, and it is... I don't know why. I don't know why she decided to stop, apparently, but... yeah, how about that, eh? So, back into Jet Stingray. Once again, I'm going to be focusing on bustering him rather than using Frost Tower. He started with the Yaz again. Oh, actually, that's... Oh, shoot, that's pretty dangerous. I do not want to use my, I don't want to use my sub-tank just yet. I'm gonna have to play it very carefully because of that. Yeah, I cannot. Okay. Ah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, alright. Nope, that was gonna happen, I figured. Heck. We'll try it again. Luckily, the checkpoint is a bit generous. Not too much movement to go back to his teleporter. Alright, not gonna start with the yeah this time. That's good. I forgot about the period before he does that thing. Got him. Alright, good. So yeah, pretty sure this is not going to be a PB at this rate. Which, again, that's fine. No big deal. Let's just see if we can get this underestimate, and that'll be all she wrote. We got Cyber Peacock to take care of, and then it'll be on to Sigma himself. And continuing the tradition of Sigma loves to cosplay, X1 had him as a Jedi, X2 had him as Wolverine, X3 had him as Captain America. So what do you think he'll be this time around? So focus on the fight here. We could go into some announcements if you got any, Leo.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Yes, right now we are still having some incentives going on, some bid wars. We, of course, have the Mega Man 4 versus 5 game bid war, and both of those games are currently sitting tied at 351. We also have the King of Demons category bid war. Good Ending is winning right now over Bad Ending. And, of course, there's Super Metroid Save the Animals versus Kill the Animals. So if you want to influence how this marathon goes, be sure to drop a donation and let us know where you'd like your donation to go towards.
Awesome. And yeah, if I'm not mistaken, is the Mega Man game bid war for the Game Boy games?
Are you ready for your final journey?
Don't have that information personally.
I imagine so, because I know 5 for NES is right after me, and that'll be
yeah, that's coming
Mello.
up in just a few moments from Mel. So
yeah, shout out to Mello, good friend of mine from the classic community for sure. All right, so here we have Sigma, and it's time for round 2. We want to make it so the scythe hits the wall, because the attack he does if it hits the floor is way more annoying to handle.
I did just get confirmation that it is for the Game Boy games.
Nice. I will say my personal preference goes to 5 because that has the Star Droid, and the original plot. Whoa, excuse me there. Is a chef's kiss. But also 4 is a super solid game with ballad and you know, all the levels that it has to offer, and a wonderful soundtrack as well.
Are you ready for your final journey?
Aw, no space dust. Alright, so this is the final Sigma fight, and this is where the rubber hits the road. We've got 2 forms of him. One will be the ugly Groundhead Sigma, and then there's the Gunner Sigma. It always starts off going into the Groundhead first, and we actually want to see him using that attack constantly, because the other one is very annoying, at least in my opinion. And then what do we got here? All right, we are going to get the great pattern right off the bat. Oh shoot, it's time to get serious. All right, we're going to use the sub-tank for that, and we're going to try that again. Oh, this could be bad. Oh, just barely missed it as well. Okay, so that trick right there is the 100% exclusive one, because that did use the hover boots, and it's really good for that too. I almost had it. I will say, it did take me a while to get that trick down, hence why I was doing the whole thingamajig with the any percent strat for the longest while, but... And he does the end. Yep. Only get that once, go figure. I'm gonna have to use that other sub-tank as well, because I do not trust myself to survive. Also gonna use the weapon tank just in case. The time will not be on the final hit, but it will be once I lose control of X, once I visit that next room. And we are nearly finished with the fight. It just falls down to getting at least a few good hits on Gunner Sigma, and that's it. That's the battle. Alright, so like I said, time will be coming up once I lose control of X in the next room. I do want to give a very quick shout out to the Mega Man X speedrunning community. A group of very welcoming fellows, awesome pros of the game, and it's time. And yeah, just some wonderful folks that would be very willing to teach you how to run this game for yourself, no matter which version you want to go for. And if you'd like to join our community, of course, you can check out the Discord link located in the Mega Man Leaderboards website. Yeah, oh wow, 20 seconds under the estimate. That was just close there. I'm happy with that, though. I'm happy with that. All right, here's the final anime cutscene. Ah! I'm gonna let this play out a little bit as we wrap things up here, but yeah. Shoutouts to pals like Ultra Uberness, Johnny Go, of course Dante. I also get to give credit to my commentators who sadly could not be here today, Zero Blade Edge and Yato Gami and L. You know, just wonderful people that I've met along the way as a speedrunner. And yeah, I will say that you know, having heard this may be the last Game Over Cancer, I want to sincerely thank Stryzer and crew for having me on for as long as they have, ever since 2020. The first game I ran for this event was Mega Man Extreme 2, which was actually an in-between title for X3 and 4 chronologically. So how fitting that I get to just finish things off with this one. And, of course, I'd like to dedicate this in tribute to my my relatives in the family who died of cancer, that being my grandma on my dad's side of the family and my great-aunt on my mom's side of the family. We love you and miss you both. And, yeah, if anybody has been affected by cancer in any way, shape, or form, I highly encourage you to make a donation to the Canadian Cancer Foundation. It would be a great cause to hopefully bring in the end of this long-standing war to cancer in due time. Because I know we can do it, folks. I know we've gone leaps and bounds. It's always good to believe. So, with that in mind, if you'd like to follow me, I'm TempestMask1000 here on Twitch and YouTube. Also got a Twitter at @It'sTempestSteve and a Blue Sky at TempestMask if you'd like to follow what I'm up to. I also speedrun other Mega Man games and indies and other modern titles. It's a bit of a jack of all trades that I do. And of course, shoutouts to Mega Man. Until next time, everyone. Ciao, Michi.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Tempest and GG on the run. As he mentioned a few times, we are running a little behind there, so we are going to immediately go on and get set up for the next game. But stay tuned here at Game Over Cancer 2025.